Hello, this is Soundout here, and welcome back to another Power Rangers review. Today we'll be taking a look at the 2017 Combining Movie Megazord. This is comprised of the T-Rex, Sabertooth Tiger, Mastodon, Triceratops, and Pterodactyl Battle Zords, which are all sold individually to create this massive 24-inch tall Megazord. So without further ado, let's take a look at it. So while not super important, I did want to bring up the packaging for these Zords, and I haven't opened most of these. They're in open-face packaging, which for a lot of them I don't understand. The Voltron Legendary Defender lines that Playmates put out recently were in sealed packaging. They're the same price and a little smaller, but I kind of wish there was some kind of bubble over this. I think this open face packaging is very susceptible to stealing. These minifigures are just kind of loosely put here. Someone tried hard enough they could take that out of there, which I think is a very poor decision. But it hasn't seemed to damage the toys too much. Yeah, keep an eye out for paint, as paint could have gotten scratched. But there's the Sabertooth and the Mastodon. I would put these in my normal review set, they're gigantic. T-Rex is already opened. The cannon was kind of back there with a try-me function, which I totally understand. And Pterodactyl I can understand being an open face because of how big it is and barely even fits in the packaging there. So basically, they are really big, the really large boxes. So the $20 Zords, the backs look like this. And the big old $40 T-Rex, his back looks like that. So he's got kind of the Megazord here instead. And you can see Triceratops, we've got Pterodactyl, and of course the 8-legged Mastodon. So enough about packaging, let's take a look at each individual Zord. We begin by taking a look at the T-Rex Battle Zord. This is the most expensive and largest of all 5 Battle Zords, as it is a $40 price point as opposed to a $20 one, and it has electronics and forms the main torso of the Megazord. Now, when I say this guy is big, I mean he's really big. Here's the original T-Rex Zord from Mighty Morphin for a little bit of a comparison, which, yeah, this guy's really big. These Zords are huge. And even if you bring in like a Dino Thunder's T-Rex Zord, which sits a little taller because its legs, you can see the movie T-Rex Zord is still a lot larger. It's larger. So that's really impressive how big this guy is, and it kind of sets the standard for what will come later. Now, in terms of accessories, we will start off with the minifigure. Now, this minifigure is of the Red Ranger, Jason, as he appears in the Power Rangers 2017 movie. He's got his helmet painted, so the visor and the mouth plate and the chest is painted, and that's about it. It is nicely molded, so if you do want to do some custom painting, it'd be really tricky at this scale, but this guy, he's really small. Here he is next to like a Dino Charger, so they are quite small. Ranger keys are about this size. But he is articulated. He does have shoulder movement and leg movement, individual leg movement. So he's got that going for him. I love these little pilot figures whenever they pack these with Zords. I liked it in Mighty Morphin Season 2 with the Thunder Zords. I like the fact that Japan did sets for Gal Ranger and Time Ranger and the upcoming Q Ranger with little minifigures of Rangers that can ride inside the Zords. I really like that a whole lot, so it's cool to see this here. But yeah, there he is. And that's pretty much all there is to him. He's very similar to the one that comes with the interactive Megazord, if not the same mold. I'm not exactly sure. I don't have the interactive Megazord, nor do I plan on picking it up. Back to the T-Rex Zord. What else he comes with is 2 missiles. These missiles load into launchers here on the front of the Zord, and these are pressure launched, so they just push out. They do a pretty good launch. The clip in there is fairly substantial, and there's one on either side of the Zord. And, of course, the Red Ranger minifigure can go inside the Zord. All you gotta do is open the mouth, take the little Red Ranger, put him inside. He does not have any way to peg in or really sit in there, so you just gotta kind of hope for the best and go for it. But yeah, looking at the T-Rex Zord, it's not very well painted. That's the first thing I'll note. The paint apps include this part here and the silver on the chest and then the blue, the 2 different color blue there. That's it. That is strictly all there is to the paint on this toy. The rest is molded. The problem with making a 2-foot tall Megazord, spread across 5 Zord price points is something has to be cut, and that's the individual Zord paint. This does not mean that he does not have color variants, as you can see the silver here and here on the jaw, as well as the bright orange missiles. But you can see that they did a good job trying to break up the color scheme a little bit. There is some paint back here too, but mostly for Megazord mode. Other than that, though, it is really nicely detailed. And from what we've seen of the Zord in the movie, from the posters of the Rangers and the Zords, plus the Zord poster as well, it looks fairly accurate. I don't think there's too much paint variance in the movie. There may be some more detail along like parts here, but who's to say for sure, as we haven't seen full footage of the Zords yet, and probably won't until the movie comes out. The major problem I have with the Zord is his balance, because you can just kind of tip him over real easily. It's because his feet are a little weird. Basically, this is back claw area. This is kind of where he sits, because you can't get him to sit like this. It's too unbalanced. So he kind of sits like that. This also means if you have him on carpet, he's just going to tip right back over. But yeah, there's a little bit there. You can adjust the legs slightly, as these are the arm joints for the Megazord. So you can actually, you can get him in kind of a running pose. It only clicks in certain places, but it's just kind of weird. Hey, that can work. So if you want your T-Rex charging at monsters, you can do that. But yeah, the problem with him, I think, is that he is a $40 toy. He's got most of that cost made up in size. That's pretty much, it's mostly size, and the other half of that is the cannon. Now this cannon up here, it does remove. This does have a series of sound effects built into it. And unfortunately, it seems like the speaker is probably too small, so all the audio recordings of Jason's voice come out very high-pitched. It sounds like the same recording and inflection as the electronic battle mask, which has a larger speaker. So it does seem like it probably is the actor's voice recorded, but because of the smaller speaker here, it came out higher pitched. That's just a theory, that's not confirmed, but that's what it sounds like. So the button is here, it's really well hidden. I love when buttons are hidden on toys. And you can press the button here and hear the sound effects.
T-Rex Zord, it's time for battle.
And you can press this as many times as you want in this part. So there's all the sounds you get. There is no specific Megazord sounds. There's no tab to unlock new sounds when it's in Megazord mode, so it will still stay T-Rex Zord ready for battle when it's attached to the Megazord, which is a little weird. And that 1, 2, 3 fire is probably the most obnoxious sound clip I've ever heard in a Power Rangers toy before, and that's really saying something. And it's also just due to the high-pitched nature of it. It does not sound like Jason the Red Ranger at all from what we've heard in the trailers. Or the actor just speaking in other roles as well. The part in the middle that's kind of interesting is that you can fire the blasters many times, but if you only fire it once, it'll only have that landing hit sound once. So for example...
T-Rex Zord, it's time for battle.
So that secondary sound effect will run up to 3 times, depending on how many times you press the button when firing. It's actually a pretty cool gimmick in that regard. It would have been nice if it did the crashing blast noise as many times as you press the button, but what can you do? It's pretty much what you're stuck with. It only does 3. But overall, as an individual release, it's kind of shaky. Honestly, I would not necessarily recommend getting this by itself. If you don't plan on getting the other Zords, he's not that fun on his own. I had him for about a week or so before I got the other 4 Zords, and I did have fun with him, but I did kind of also just put him aside. And I was like, well, just going to wait for the other Zords to come out. As a $40 release, yeah, he's definitely part of a larger picture, and that I think is where the strength of the T-Rex Zord lies. But overall, he's still a fun toy. I really like just having this big old T-Rex that can just make noise and fire missiles and has a little tiny Ranger figure. So it kind of hits everything that's playable about Power Rangers Zords all at once. Here is the Triceratops Battle Zord. This is the first of the $20 price point Battle Zords, and is fairly large. The thing I was worried about was that these were $20 and they only did a few things. But looking how large this guy is, especially compared to, say, the original Triceratops Zord, and we're talking 93, not Legacy, by the way. Original Triceratops Zord I thought was a fairly large individual component in Zord, and this guy is way bigger. It's really crazy. So that's neat. But in terms of accessories, he does come with a miniature Blue Ranger figure, as we should expect at this point. Red came with red, blue comes with blue, and the other Rangers come with the other Rangers. But you can see you got the chest is painted in, and the visor and mouthpiece, arms and legs move. This leg tends to pop off on mine. It's the only one of these I have issues with, but yeah. Again, probably similar to the one with the interactive Megazord, if not the same. But yeah, there you go. There's the little Blue Ranger. And we get 2 missiles, which are the exact same as the 2 missiles that came with the T-Rex Zord. They're the same exact ones. That's because this guy has a missile launching gimmick. But first of all, let's load up the Blue Ranger. The little door here, you just push this little tab, flips open. And honestly, out of all the cockpits, the blue and black have the best ones because the Rangers don't move around at all in these, which is really nice. Also, it's really hard to tell, but back in there is molded detail for the cockpit on the side, which is really, really cool. Say he fits in there and he doesn't really rattle around too much because the door closes right down. Now, articulation-wise, this guy has nothing. You can adjust the back legs, but he can't balance on them. So there's that. But yeah, no articulation whatsoever in this Zord, which kind of sucks, but at the same time he is very sturdy. And yes, the legs are very, very hollow. I am going to attribute this to overall balance of the completed Megazord when we get to that. Overall, though, I think the Triceratops turned out pretty good design-wise. A lot better than the T-Rex did, and he's got cool horns, like the horns are kind of blades. But overall, really neat. I love the little spine down here. Now, his gimmick involves his tail. You flip his tail up like this. You load a missile. And then it's the same pressure launch as the T-Rex, but it's a lot weaker. It just barely gets over the Triceratops here. You can see it just kind of gets over slightly. But yeah, you can store a missile there if you like. It looks a little weird, but you can do that. Overall, though, probably one of the weakest gimmicks in the entire Zord line. But what can you do? That's the Triceratops. Here we have the Mastodon Battle Zord, also retailing for $19.99 at most general retailers. This guy is, once again, fairly large. Here is the original Mastodon. As you can see, this thing made up the entire arms of the Megazord. This guy just makes a leg, and he's much larger, which is really cool. But first things first, Ranger figure, mini Ranger figure, really, really cool. It's hard to see the visor painted, but it is a different paint shade than the plastic, which is cool. Mouth plate as well as the chest emblem. Again, same articulation. Nothing too exciting and new here. But there's the Black Ranger, so we're good to go. And the other thing it comes with is this little spider web, because it rests right there. Because for some reason the Mastodon also looks like a spider. But opening up the cockpit here, this is the best cockpit as it fits the Ranger snugly and holds him in place, which is really cool. But yeah, there is the Mastodon. Now the Mastodon, it's definitely got the Mastodon because you got the tusks and the trunk. You got the overall Mastodon shape, but you have like 8 legs and a spider web gimmick. I feel like this is the Mastodon fused with a spider. It's really strange. Also kind of annoying because of the open face packaging. It left the trunk a little bent. I do like the razor edge on the trunk. That part is cool. Its gimmick is that it throws the spider web. Again, don't know why, but you just hit this and it throws it, and it's gone. I don't know where it went. Oh wait, never mind. I found it. Basically, that's the entire gimmick of the Mastodon is to basically just take this, which it lines up very weirdly, and then you just throw it. It works. But it is extremely weird that the Mastodon has a spiderweb launching gimmick. Oh well, though. There's not much we can do about that. Here we have the Sabertooth Tiger Zord, which I think is my favorite design of all of them. Once again, really big. Here is the original Sabertooth Tiger. Actually, they're almost the same size. This one's just like 15-20% larger. But yeah, there is the Sabertooth Tiger. But first things first, accessories, we have the Yellow Ranger. She doesn't stand very well. Her legs are really close together, as you can see. But she does have the same articulation, same paint as the male Rangers, which is good. She fits inside her Zord. Kind of funny, because the cockpit area is here. On the others, they fit inside the cockpit area of their Zords. But her cockpit area is here, but because of a transformation joint, there is no room to fit her, so they moved the cockpit back here. So that's kind of annoying. I wish it would have been in the same place in the movie. But what can you do? There's also a little slot to keep her legs in place so she doesn't rattle around too much. And once again, there is a little bit of molded detail in these cockpits, which is fantastic. So you close that up. And the other accessory she has is this giant cannon. The gimmick of this is you push this button, and it does that. It reminds me a lot of Dodekaio's Kaio Spear. And where you just press this button and things just rotate. These can also just move if they're out of place. You can like line them up if that bugs you. In plugging it in, there's a tab here, so make sure you line up with either side. And now it's got a big cannon. Don't know if it'll be doing this in the movie, or this is just something that'll come into existence later on, but yeah, it's there. The Sabertooth Tiger is definitely packing heat with the two guns here, as well as the two guns on the front. Also, something that wasn't clear in the picture, it does have fanged teeth here coming out of the mouth, which is nice. My biggest complaint with this Zord is the hollowness in the legs and the hollowness in the chest, but it's part of transformation. But yeah, these legs are really hollow. Again, I think it is to balance out the overall Megazord. But we'll get to that after we take a look at the Pterodactyl. Here we have the final $20 Zord, the Pterodactyl, which is also the final Zord for this Megazord. And it's probably one of the biggest, especially if you compare it to the original Pterodactyl Zord. It was quite small. You can see this is a massive size difference here. Just amazing. Now that extent, this part of the wing here was detached in package and held behind it, so it actually could fit somewhat. It still sticks out of the bounds of the packaging, so it's really, really impressive. But what's more impressive is that it actually comes with two minifigures. I think because of the overall thinner design, they decided to pack two figures in. So the first one is the Pink Ranger, which you can see here. Looks very nice. Legs move, arms move. So she can get those high kicks and just like smack things in the face. Like this putty figure, which is the first time we ever saw the putty. Thanks, Lionsgate. But you got arm movement here, no leg movement. That's kind of at a weird stance, but you got that. And yeah, Pink Ranger can kick him in the face. Because he's really tall. Like, the putties are really big, it seems, for this movie. Because the only other putty action figure we have is an action feature one that's, like, larger than the regular Ranger figures. So this is kind of interesting. But the putty does play into the gimmick, so he's basically like an accessory. Fitting the Pink Ranger into this cockpit, I think this is the most detailed. Here, as you can see these little panels on the side. But also the worst because it does not latch. I wish it latched in some way. It just kind of rests there, which means if you turn it over and you shake it at all, she starts falling out. The hinge is not strong enough. This is probably the worst cockpit since the Red Ranger. And the Red Ranger's cockpit, it was just a problem because he rattles around too much. But yeah, there's that. So you got that going for it. But other than that, really nice looking. Honestly, probably one of the best Zords. Now you can see down here it's got feet. And the gimmick here is that you have your putty patroller here, your putty villain, as the box says. You have him, just chilling along, and then you come up here, you pull this little ring part, it reaches out, and then you just grab the putty, and then fly him away, and then just drop him into a volcano. Or whatever you want to drop him into. The choice is yours. Honestly, I think this is probably the most fun of all the gimmicks, and I wish there was more villain minifigures included somewhere. Like, not necessarily with this sword, maybe with, like, Sabertooth Tiger, just so we could get more things to pick up. But yeah, you can just kind of carry the... And it looks really cool, too. It looks like he's just, like, the Pterodactyl sword just picked up and taken him away. And it works pretty well. Honestly, probably my favorite gimmick out of them all, because every other gimmick has, like, a minor issue, and this one just works flawlessly. So, awesome Zord, awesome gimmick. Let's take a look at all these Zords. So here is the entire Zord set. I know you can barely see them because they're freaking huge. Out of any Megazords that I've collected, and that's all but 4 of the ones that appear in Power Rangers, these are the largest individual components for a main Megazord. And since this is the main Megazord, we're not even talking about like any extensions this may have in future movies or even in this movie. This is a huge set of Zords. And what's impressive is they all combine into the largest Megazord ever. Because I checked it next to Serpentera, next to Pyramidas, next to the Thunder Ultra Zord, every massive combination, every massive individual Zord, this Megazord's bigger than it. So without further ado, let's work this camera magic and combine the Megazord. So the Mastodon Triceratops transform roughly the same way the other Zords do. You basically make them explode. So remove every component that can come off. So the head, the bottom plate piece here, the legs as well. And so we're left with this. With this, you want to rotate these down as support for the foot and pull this straight out. From here, we got to attach the plate, the two pegs on top like this. Then these legs will attach on here, and it's either... There's specific ways to do it, but basically you want it to get as close and flush to the leg as possible. Which I think is that way, like this. It's kind of a weird thing, but you basically don't want those touching, and you don't want it knocking off the plate. And then you got to put the head back on here, and then turn around and plug the little spider launcher thing on the back here. So we got that going on. That's a pretty big leg. But basically do the same with Triceratops. You can leave one of the missiles in the back here if you'd like. It does not interfere with the combination at all. Basically these legs have to flip the sides of where they're normally at, which is really confusing in the instructions. It's entirely confusing. So there is that, and then move the plate from here to here, like so, and put the head like that. And now we got the two legs of the Megazord. And as you can already see, this thing is going to be huge. Now as for the Yellow Ranger Zord, the Sabertooth Tiger, you want to remove this, you want to fold these down, and you want to flip the head around, because this becomes the waist piece for the Megazord. And that's all there is to that. It's really nice and simple. For the Pterodactyl, you want to take and pull the wings off, and that's it. Really nice and simple. Now for the T-Rex, things get complicated. Remove the cannon off the top, remove these off the sides, like this. That one's a little hard to get out for some reason. Pull the head off, it comes straight off like that. So that's not a big port. Pull the tail off like this, and then you got to pull the legs off, which this one's really tight. So I just bumped the camera, sorry. It's really tight on that leg. This leg, not so much, but that leg is really tight. Then from here you want to reconfigure parts. So this goes here, like that. So you got the arm. And the other leg goes here, like that. So you got the other arm, which again, really, really tight. Then you want to come under here, pull the head out, and bring it around, put it on top. No, don't ask me why the head is pink. I have no idea. And the T-Rex head goes on the back here in that middle port. So you got most of the top of the Megazord there. I welcome you to the world debut of the Soundout vertical stage, when toys are too damn big to fit anywhere else. And here's where we are. We have the Mastodon here, and we have the Triceratops here. And basically, you take the Sabertooth Tiger, which is now the waist, and you want to slide in this slot into these. So once you do that, it just goes together nice and tidy like if the Mastodon would cooperate. There we go. So now you can see we got kind of a robot forming. Now the instructions say to attach the T-Rex onto the Sabertooth Tiger before attaching the wings of the Pterodactyl, but I'm going to say it's a lot easier to do it with the wings first. So for the wings here, you want to attach the T-Rex's missile launchers. There's a little peg and there's a little tab. And you want to attach those to the back of the wings here. This will allow you to store the T-Rex's missile launchers for future use. Now bringing in the T-Rex Zord on the back, you'll notice there are these two slots here, which will line up with these tabs here in the pterodactyl wings, and those will just plug straight on the back of the Megazord. So we got that going. And now with this, we got to take this Zord, and there's these two pegs here and here, which will lock into slots that are here on the legs of the Sabertooth tiger. So we just got to lower this down like this, lock this up here and here, and now we've got a Megazord who is tipping over right now because the Triceratops knee gave out. Okay, so we're here. Now there are a few more pieces to attach, namely the giant sound box. So let's begin with this arm. We attach the electronic cannon and the pterodactyl head. And coming around to the other side, we attach the cannon from the Sabertooth tiger as well as the tail for the T-Rex Zord. And here is the Power Rangers movie combining Megazord. This guy clocks in at 24 inches to the top of the head and 25 to the tip of the wings. He is absolutely massive. Now, in terms of leftover pieces, if you leave one missile with the Triceratops, you'll have one missile on standby, you will have the weird little web thing for the Mastodon, and you'll have the putty minifigure left over. Everything else attaches to this Megazord, which is something Bandai of Japan should take a look at. While Tosai Dodoka King, the recent big conglomeration of mecha in Japan, left off an entire trailer and a bunch of extra pieces. This guy leaves off projectiles and a minifigure that shouldn't even be counted as a Zord part, honestly. All the Rangers still fit in their cockpits. Nobody has to be removed. Of course, put the pterodactyl head this way at the most, but do not put it upside down, as that Pink Ranger can go flying out. Now, in terms of the Megazord's articulation, if you're expecting 30 points of articulation in this thing, throw that expectation out the window. This is a Megazord, okay? So you get your shoulder joints, which work. They're solid. That's why those T-Rex joints have to be so solid because of all this stuff on it. But yeah, you can get you can't get a full 360 because of the wings in the back, but you can get it to raise. And because also, I'm just going to take that off. Also because of the T-Rex, you got nice sturdy elbows, which is super cool. Plus, due to the way the head attaches, it does turn a full 360, which is awesome. You can also just pull it off and have a headless Megazord. Isn't that exciting? I have a feeling that in the movie, the pterodactyl provides the head, but in order to keep the size of the Zords right, they just put the head inside the T-Rex torso. So you got that going for it. The tail for the T-Rex has the peg. I don't know if they'll use this in the movie or not. Kind of hope they do. It's kind of cool. Kind of reminds me of Beast Wars Transformers a little bit. But you do have that as an optional weapon. It does not come with the interactive Megazord, so they may not use it in the movie. The pterodactyl head, in this configuration, the way it is here, looks a lot like the Power Sword for the original Megazord. So I'm kind of, maybe this is where this is, or this turns into the head. I don't know. It's kind of here. It's neat. It's nice to have a weapon for the Zord. The cannon still says,
T-Rex Zord, it's time for battle.
which is annoying because it's not the T-Rex Zord anymore. It is the Megazord, and this little cannon still does its thing. Like I said, there's some alternate weapon configuration. If you remove the missile launchers off of the wings here, you can actually take them. There's little slots here, or little pegs here, fits into these slots, and now he's got awesome shoulder cannons because this Megazord wasn't already packing enough heat. And on top of that, if you so desire, the instructions do mention this, so I will here, you can take the weird little launcher thing for the web, and it is supposed to be able to peg in. Oh, yeah, here we go. You can do this. I have no idea why, but that is why the peg is there. The instructions actually show this as, oh yeah, you do that. Or something close to that. Whatever it is, it's stupid and should not be on this Megazord. It is not a function we need at all. Now, what else is there to cover about this Megazord? Well, the fact that this is a $120 Megazord does sound steep, But let me just bring in just any old average Megazord for a comparison. So as a size comparison, here's the 1993 original Megazord, which doesn't even make it up. This makes it like mid-thigh of this Zord. He's really, really big. Really big. But he's stable. Like, that's the thing. Lack of articulation aside, I can move him like that, no problem. Nothing is going to fall apart. He is sturdy. And that's pretty much the best mark I can give him. Now, another size comparison. Let's bring in probably one of the largest Zords, if not the largest. My Serpentera is in the back storage room, so it's hard to get to right now. But here is Pyramidus with a red Battle Zord to give him some extra height. Yeah, this Megazord is huge, because Pyramidus is the tallest of the Ultra Zord configurations sitting in my room right now, which also includes the Mighty Mammoth Zord with the Hurricane Megazord in it. This is the tallest one, and this Bandai of America giant thing is bigger. So that's fun. We don't know how big the Zords are in the film because we haven't seen anything of them besides a couple posters. But we can estimate that these are probably larger than any other Zords we've gotten in the past. And for that reason, this is a cool, cool set. Now, speaking of sets, there was a leaked image of a gift set containing all 5 Zords. We've not seen anything of that since, even though every other thing that got leaked got released by now. But it's only time to tell. Supposedly a Toys R Us exclusive multi-pack of all 5 Zords. You may want to wait for that, but personally I say go for it. This Zord is really cool. If you have reservations about the design, like I did, I wasn't really keen on the design of the toy, or the overall design of the Megazord or the Zords. It really just kind of went away when I had the Zords in hand. They're really fun, they're really solid, they have action gimmicks, which a lot of Zords these days don't have. And overall, the combination process is really unique and interesting. After having like 23 seasons worth of Zords, it's nice to have something different. This is definitely different, and it's also more American in design. Also, it still looks like a cybernetic Devilman, which I enjoy that aspect of. Overall, my entire complaints about the design of this thing have really gone away having it in hand, and I can definitely recommend it if you're a fan of Power Rangers. If you're looking forward to the new movie, if you want to wait till after the movie comes out, probably a good idea. The T-Rex Zord is available at most retailers right now. I've seen him at Target, I've seen him at Toys R Us, he's online everywhere. The other 4 Battle Zords just came out. My Toys R Us barely got them. They got one set of them when I picked them up. And the overall set is just fantastic. And so if you want to wait till you get all 5, find all 5 in stores, probably a good idea. Having the T-Rex on his own for a while was okay. I feel like if I had any of the other Zords individually, it wouldn't be as exciting. But the whole set together is just super cool. So that is it for this review. If you're looking for this, check your Toys R Us, check your Target. Those are the 2 places the Zords have been found. Walmart will probably get them later on, closer to the movie. And you can also check Big Bad Toy Store, Amazon, other online retailers as well. They have at least the T-Rex Battle Zord. Don't know about the other ones yet. I'm going to stop looking for the Zords because I have them now. But big shout out to my dad who went and picked these up at Toys R Us when I was at work. So thanks to him, I have all 4 Zords. We bought the T-Rex previously, but the other 4 he went and picked up for me at Toys R Us, which was just awesome of him. Also, if you like this video, please hit the like button. Tell me you want to see more Power Rangers videos. I love making Power Ranger Megazord reviews. It's probably my favorite review style to produce. And check out my podcast every Friday called The Soundcast here on YouTube. And subscribe for more videos. I have Ninja reviews, In Place and Ninja Steel Megazords coming up. I still got the rest of Geodra to finish reviewing. And I have a planned celebration for when I hit 9,000 subscribers. So if you want to see that happen sooner, make sure to hit the subscribe button. Also, let me know in the comments below what your thoughts are on the Power Rangers movie Megazord. And until next time, this is Soundout saying goodbye.